Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamieka's Den. I am Tamieka. Get on in here, y'all. Okay, get on in here. Kick off your shoes and relax your feet. You are now in the den. So, baby, I just wanted to discuss with y'all. Okay, this is my review recap. Somewhat, okay, a little talk, okay, a little chit chat to talk about how I'm feeling about Zatima so far. I have been checking it out. Okay, we got 2 episodes that dropped. I believe that it is going to be a situation where there will be 2 episodes dropped every week, and it's going to be 10 episodes altogether. You know, we knew this was coming. We was waiting for it to come. If you've been watching Sisters, then you definitely was looking out for this, this Zatima show, okay, the spinoff from Sisters, and just my thoughts on what I thought about this introduction and how it's going so far. And I have to say, I'm loving it, okay? I am loving it. I'm loving the format. I love the intro. I love the song. I love how it comes on and the setup with the little, pictures and collages and them stepping in and out of it and being together with it. It's interesting and, compared to Sisters, is completely different, right? We get right into the dialogues, we get right into the next scenes, we seeing them wake up in the morning and it actually being a new day that we ain't gotta wait a week to get to. They're not repeating the same thing over and over and over. So those is already pluses for me automatically, okay? Zatima is gonna be airing from September 22nd to October 20th, of course, on BET Plus. I'm not too happy about that. I wish it could have just been on, the regular old BET, right? And then we're gonna have Sisters from October 12th to December 7th, and we're gonna have the Oval from October 11th to December 20th. And I will be doing my regular recaps, weekly recaps on those, okay? So of course, y'all know with Tamieka's talk, I get up here and I talk about some of the things that I don't get to talk about when I'm doing my weekly recaps. I got so many different videos going on right now, so many shows that I'm already covering. So this is one of those that I unfortunately have not been able to do regular weekly reviews on. And therefore, since I had a little time, it was a free day, I wanted to come up here and discuss it with you guys. So my first impressions, like I said, so far, I'm liking the storytelling. I'm liking the flow. I'm liking the direction that we're going in. Of course, we are seeing them, finally moving in together because Zach asked Fatima to move in and she said yes. And we had her packing up her apartment and he's kind of like, okay, are you getting rid of the apartment? And she tells him like, nah, I'm going to hold on to it for a little bit longer. Okay, I might end up subletting it, renting it out to other people or whatever have you, but I'm not just going to give it up, right? She's bringing the stuff that she wants to his house and she's putting the rest of the stuff in the storage. And I think this is a smart idea. As much as I love Zatima, as much as I love them together, and I'm rooting for them, I think that I love the fact that they are showing her still being independent, still holding on to her own stuff, still not kind of just jumping in 2 feet first and not having no type of backup plans for herself. And, basically just putting it all in this one box and saying, okay, I'm going to be dependent on you. She still has her own job, and just her own different things that, she has set up for herself. I love that. Okay, I'm glad that she's doing that and I'm glad that they're showing that. I actually appreciate that, And of course, she's like, we still got to figure out this baby mama drama. He's basically telling her, we don't got no baby mama drama, okay? I got an ex-girlfriend that just so happens to be pregnant and we still got to do the paternity on that. And I also got, another girl who I'm pretty sure that damn baby is not mine. So we're really not getting nothing different in terms of how Zach feels and what he's saying, where that is concerned, right? But she says that she's going to go ahead and get his fiance, get his baby mama, okay, Miss Stripper Girl over here, and she's gonna, get to the bottom of that and definitely get these paternity tests going before, anything else goes any further. So he actually wants to know what's going on with her for tonight. He said he has something planned, but she says, I've been putting off seeing my girls for a minute, so I'm gonna actually have a girls' night and meet up with my girls. And they were saying that they could go ahead and get together after that. And so this is interesting, right? We're getting more friends of hers that she has and more friends of Zach's that he have. Now, on the one hand, I get it. Fatima was not, okay, a regular cast member. So we know we might not expect to see that much of her life, right? We really, if you being honest, don't see much of the girl's life either, right? It doesn't seem like they have any other outside friends. We mostly see them together, and then we see it being Andy more so with Karen, and we see it Sabrina more so with Danny. Then of course we see their dating interactions. The only other person that Sabrina probably has outside of the girls is Maurice, but even Maurice has his friend that we see occasionally at the bar. So I find that interesting, right? And when she goes and meets up with her friends, which I believe was Belinda and Angela, if I'm not mistaken, they're like, girl, where you been? Okay, you've been missing in action. We haven't seen you for weeks. So again, and for them, this has only been weeks, child, but for us, we like shooting. This like months and years at this point, but it is weeks. And they say, what's going on with you? And they already know about Zach. They like, yeah, we heard about dude. Okay, come on, spill the tea. What's going on with him? How did you meet him? Is this serious? And she starts to say, yeah, it is pretty serious because I'm actually moving in. And they like, well, damn, girl, yeah, it is serious, okay, because you've never done that before, so you really must be into him. They like, okay, well, tell us about him. Now, of course, when she brings up chain breakers, they like, so you basically messing with a damn convict, all right? But when she says that, you wouldn't believe it, I almost hit him with my car, they're actually like, yeah, we pretty much can believe that part of the story, girl, okay, but you're crazy behind whatever, right? And they start laughing. We also find out that her friend Angela apparently is in a new relationship too, okay? And that this person is not black, and they're really, really shocked, what I'm saying, to find that out. And so she says, they will set up something for her to go ahead and, them to go ahead and be able to meet her new boo thing, okay, that they think is that time. They like, he got to pass our test first, right? So that's what you would expect from girlfriends to be saying. And they seem like they are genuinely happy for her. They're like, we're seeing a new side of you or whatever, right? And so, at the same time, we get this contrast where Zach done went out and decided to hang with his friends and play basketball, right? He want to keep himself busy since Fatima's out with her girls. And we're seeing his boys say, what's going on? Why are you trying to jump into this relationship so fast, right? Why do you have to have her move in and do all of that? Why can't you just kind of be single, fill it out, see how it is for you to, one, have this money now, and two, just living the single life, right? They bring up Karen saying you already tried it with her and what a hot mess that was, right? And they basically was saying that it's really hard being in a relationship or whatever, right? And being married. But the person that's going hardest about the whole marriage thing and saying you don't know what it is and all of that kind of stuff actually ends up being the one that's married. And Zach is like, what are you talking about? Like, first of all, you married. And he's like, yeah, that's why I'm saying it, right? And I thought that was interesting, right? And they talk about how he used to go hard, how he was playing the field, and he was really out there a lot. And, it's like, speak for yourself. And so he also has this friend named Bryce that they say has been doing his thing. But Bryce is like, well, yeah, I may have been doing my thing, but I'm actually trying to settle down a little bit too, right? I'm not thinking about getting married and all of that, but I am serious with somebody. And he also lets them know, and she's black, and they seem to be very surprised and impressed with that. Now we find out, of course, this is a little later, that Bryce is a good friend of his who just so happens, okay, to also have a connection with Gary. So this kind of was giving me a little bit of Jake, right? Instead of putting Jake in here, we got Bryce, right? Kind of same dynamic to a certain degree. And of course, Fatima feels the same way about him that she feels about Jake. But it seems like they all kind of already had this relationship. So I don't know how that's going to tie into the whole sister storyline, right? That's going to be interesting to see, because I'm sorry, but sometimes, we got to keep it real. Tyler be having a hard enough time keeping up with the storyline within the show. So if we have some storylines that's connected from this show to that show, what's the timeline, right? And how is that all going to work out? Because I don't never remember us seeing Bryce or seeing any type of relationship that they had in Sisters, or seeing Bryce working with Gary, right? But all of a sudden, he's apparently works with him too. He knows everything that's been going on with the SEC, and he's actually been trying to help Zach out with that, whereas in Sisters we was mostly seeing Jake trying to help him out with it, okay? And so basically, they're talking about never getting married and all this other stuff, and Zach, like I said, was saying you're literally married, and he's like, yeah, that's the point, that's why I'm trying to warn y'all not to do it. In the meantime, while he's talking all this mess, his baby mother actually ends up walking up behind him like, boy, get your behind in the car, okay? You out here busy working out and playing basketball or whatever, like work your behind to the car. He asking her if she got the kids in the car, and she's like, yes, I do, come on, and they all just kind of get quiet and say hi to her or whatever the case may be as she walks up. So now, when Fatima come home later, whatever the case may be, right? Zach is on the couch and he seeing her coming in looking all good, of course, complimenting her like, damn, okay, she like, you like? He like, yes, I do. And she comes over and sits and, on top of him. He like, all right now with all of that, right? And she basically was saying that, he promised her some things, right? But before she gets into that, she was telling him that, her friends wanted to meet him. And he's like, yeah, my friends pretty much want to meet you too. So she like, all right, well then let's set up something tomorrow, right? Have them come over for something to eat. And he's like, wow, so quick? Like, really? You want to do that already? You sure you know what you in for? So she's like, yeah. So apparently they're going to go ahead and try to have this little mix-up with their friends and let them get introduced to each other and get to know, who their significant others are. In the meantime, he like, all right, what I'm saying, I'm going to keep my deal on my promise. I got you. And he basically picks her up like she ain't nothing, okay? Toss her over his shoulder and take her upstairs to the bedroom. Of course, they go ahead and they get it in or whatever. And when they're finished, she's telling him that she's going to be going to the pole tomorrow. And he's like, what? And she was like, okay, don't act like you wasn't around here hunching up on all these strippers. And he's like, girl, who the hell, says hunching anymore, right? But basically she says she's going to go talk to this baby mother. She's going to get this DNA test. She's going to have her come over at 6. And he's like, how the heck you going to just, make that happen like that, right? And she says that she has a way of persuading people. So that's just what it is. And he was like, well, you persuading me right now. So he go ahead and follow her in the bathroom. Now, when she's leaving for work, and again, I like that. We actually see they went to bed. They woke up. It's another day, okay? We ain't in the same day forever. It's another day. She trying to be on her way to work, and she's asking him, where's her car? Like, did he move it? And he's like, no, that's your car right there. He done bought her a whole new sports car. She like, oh, you didn't have to do that. He like, well, I could take it back. She like, nah, thank you. Like, I'm happy that my man is hooking me up, all right? I'm going to go out. I'm going to have a good day, and we going, ride around later, whatever have you. I got one stop that I want to make after work or whatever, right? And then after that, of course, we are going to be here. We're going to have our friends come over for this dinner. So now as she leave, Bryce comes up and he's telling him like he just got the word from the SEC, investigation. They're going to want to do this interview with him. He got to make sure he's on top of everything. Zach is asking him if he heard from the senator, or he knows anything about her and what she said to them. So he's like, no, I'm not too sure. I haven't heard anything about that. At first he was telling Zach to call her up, but then he was like, nah, that may not be a good idea, right? We may just want to leave that alone. And so I'm curious about that part too, because remember in Sisters, Fatima and him had already checked her. Fatima was basically like, girl, you going to keep your mouth shut. You ain't going to say nothing about nothing because this could mess you up just as much as it can mess Zach up. And she basically let her know that they could empty out a whole bunch of info on her. So, how is this still going on, right? And what, if anything, is the senator saying, right? This is definitely something we need to know. And we also know that daggone Hayden behind wasn't going to let out. So are we going to see anything of Hayden in this, And again, how does it all tie in the timeline? Also, another thing that popped in my head, when we heard Zach talk about Karen, it was still just like, okay, I got this one baby mother that's this, as far as my ex. The other baby mother, I'm not too much, claiming that child. I don't know about that one, right? So does that mean that everything is okay with Karen and the baby, or have he just not found out about her going to the hospital yet? I'm just saying, inquiring minds want to know, right? And so Fatima does go see Miss Girl at the strip club, honey. At first they thought she was trying to come into work, and she's like, no, I'm not coming into work. I'm looking for her. She basically approaches her, and she's trying to be nice about it at first. She's saying, yeah, we got to get this DNA test done. Now homegirl talking about, yeah, I know we got to get it done, right, and I wouldn't lie about anything like that, and I know who my baby father is. But at the same time, she over here talking about some, oh well, I'm not gonna do the DNA test until I start getting child support. And Fatima basically lets her know, like, oh, okay, you want to be ghetto, right? You street. And she's like, yes, I am. So Fatima's like, okay, well, I could get there too. You must have got it twisted, okay? And she's letting her know, like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. And she basically takes her head and damn near put it through the daggone wall, all right? And girlfriend was like, oh, God, you ain't got to do all of that. Like, you being rough, you being, I'm saying, ghetto. And she's like, yeah, you haven't seen how down and dirty I could get. And if you don't want to see it, then your behind is going to be at my house tomorrow at 6 like I told you to, so that we could go ahead and get all this stuff established out in the open. And I work for, this law firm, and I know the different laws and stuff like that, so we not going to play these games. And basically, she's all right, and Fatima go ahead and walk away. So now they get to this dinner, right? And we find out that, of course, Angela and Bryce was talking about each other this whole daggone time. They show up together, right? So Zach and, Fatima is surprised to see them together because, of course, this is both each one of their friends that they invited. And, Fatima got to pull her girl to the side for a minute and be like, so that's who you was talking about? That's who you with? And she was like, why, you don't like him? And she's like, well, I don't know. I'm still kind of feeling him out, right? But I don't like the person that he's working for. And her friend is basically like, let me guess, Gary, right? She like, yeah, girl, he's shady. So apparently both of them know Gary, and both of them don't like him, right? But they say, we're going to go ahead and sit down and have this dinner. So at first it's the four of them, having a toast and talking or whatever, right? And then the doorbell rings, and this other friend shows up. And when Zach opens the door, obviously he recognizes her, and he ends up slamming the door in her face. And Fatima's like, what's going on, Zach? Open the door. What the heck are you doing? And so child opened up the door, and the friend comes in, and she's like, I know this ain't the man that you've been talking about, right? Which is her other friend, Belinda, that was there, that met her along with Angela. And she's like, yeah, I'm saying, this is Zach, this my boo. She's like, girl, wow, what happened? You know him? Y'all know each other? She's like, yeah. Basically, they screwed, okay? They had a one night stand in the past or whatever, right? And that is how episode 1 ended, right? And episode 1 was basically called A New Chapter, right? Because we are getting a new chapter with them. And as we moved into episode 2, this was basically water under the bridge, right? And so we picked up exactly where we left off. Like, we jumped right into it. I definitely like that. And we still was having Fatima say, how y'all know each other? And she's like, excuse me? And Bryce basically goes out his way to repeat it, okay? Angela was about to repeat it too, but Bryce kind of beat her to it. And so she's like, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? And, of course, Zach had this one night stand with her 2 years ago. I said, damn, this place is just too small, huh? All y'all damn people is connected to every daggone body some way, somehow, right? But then half the people won't seem to know the other half of people, but then everybody else seems to know everybody, if that makes sense to y'all, because we even see that when it comes to sisters as well. So nonetheless, Fatima basically, at first is like, kind of having an attitude, right? Kind of taken off guard, of course, because she ain't expecting for something like this to happen. Eventually, they do go to the backyard and have a conversation, right? And Fatima, of course, first reaction is basically like, well, what the heck? When did this happen? And kind of trying to calculate it, because Belinda's letting her know that this was 2 years ago, that they had this, what I'm saying, would turn into a one night stand. I guess she wasn't expecting for it to be a one night stand. And after they had sex this one night, all these calls and texts was being sent, but she basically ended up getting ghosted by Zach. We also found out that she pretty much did the same thing that old stripper girl did, where she shows up to Karen's hair shop tells her everything that's going on, right? In some kind of way, her and Karen actually ends up connecting, and she still goes there to this day to get her hair done, which I really find interesting. And Karen basically warns Belinda, like, Zach ain't shit or whatever the case may be, right? And therefore, if he did this to Karen, then as her friend, she's warning her that it could be a chance he could do it to her. Basically, Zach is trash as far as she's concerned, right? And I could kind of get that and understand if you have this bad experience with this person, right, then you gonna warn your friend and be like, girl, he ain't nothing, you shouldn't be messing with him, like, this is not who I knew you was, who I thought you would be talking about. And of course it's gonna be awkward that your friend basically has sex with your man, and it's like, all right, Fatima already had to deal with Karen, she's dealing with this other chick that's now popping up saying she have a daggone baby with him, she's heard all these different stories about him, and now to top it off, one of your closest friends apparently have slept with him too. And, that's going to be awkward. You definitely have a right to be in your feelings to a certain degree. But at the same time, this was before you. He didn't know you. And as we go on and we come back in with them having the conversation, Zach actually ends up getting to explain, because Bryce was like, why don't you tell them everything, right? And so he ends up getting to explain his side. And he's kind of frustrated with it too, because he's like, damn, every time I'm trying to move forward and be the person that I am now, I still keep having all these things jumping out my closet coming from the past that's showing me in this life from then. And he's like, first of all, I didn't cheat on Karen, because you could tell that was probably one of the thoughts that Fatima had as well, when it's like, wait a minute, 2 years ago, so wasn't he with Karen? So this is another woman that's done stepped into it, right? We know that him and Karen had a history of makeups to breakups. That was just their thing. That's part of the reason why Karen kind of feels like, well, usually you go ahead and you be with these different people, but you always come back to me, right? That's why she wasn't really expecting him to be so serious with Fatima in the first place, because she got accustomed to that revolving door of them going back and forth to each other, taking these breaks, him seeing different people in those breaks, and then him coming back to her. So apparently this was one of those times, but he wasn't interested in this girl. He didn't want to have anything serious with her. And he's basically saying, like, as they are trying to kind of get along with this dinner and just go along like nothing is really going on, she's kind of like, oh no, we gonna talk all this out and hash all this out right now, because there's some things you need to know. We ain't gonna pretend like, all this stuff didn't happen, right? And so basically, at one point, even Zach says this city is too small. And I'm like, I have to agree with him. Like I said, like, what girls you didn't damn date, right? Who you haven't been with. And how many other women are coming into Karen's shop getting their damn hair done by her that could have possibly, slept with you. Like, it's a little weird. I ain't gonna lie, it's a little weird. It's like when they say that the city or this world is big but small at the same time, right? And so Belinda's still kind of going hard. She's still, you could tell, is harboring feelings and just feels a way about him and looks at him in a certain light. And, Zach is basically saying that, we pretty much don't got that much, to talk about. Like, it's pretty cut and dry. He's annoyed and frustrated with this at this point, right? And he's basically actually sitting at the table at one point like this, where he's sticking up his daggone middle finger at her. And he's saying, look, she was calling and texting 5 and 6 times a day. I didn't want to be bothered. I ignored it all because I just was not interested in her in that way, right? And he basically was like, he doesn't speak hood rat, and that she took her hood rat behind over to daggone Karen's shop. And that basically was that on that, right? She was like, you basically still mad about that or whatever the case may be, because I didn't want you. That was the bottom line. And so Fatima was kind of telling him to calm down before he say something that, he would regret. But I don't think Zach is really regretting anything right now, right? He's at a point where he feels like he's going to speak his mind. He's going to tell his truth, and he really don't care how anybody feels about it at this point, right? And he was saying that he would love to say that he enjoyed this whole, meeting and dinner thing or whatever, right? But he gets up and says that he wants to go for a walk, and he's just basically like, unfortunately, I can't say that. And so Bryce does, chase him down and go to talk to him or whatever the case may be. And Fatima basically also has to kind of shut her friend down and put her in her place a little bit, because we know Fatima gonna keep it real and she gonna speak her mind and what she's feeling. And so it was kind of like she was just more so agitated and aggravated and, like I said, frustrated, caught off guard by the situation. It was only but so mad that she could be about it. It was kind of like a shock, like she had to kind of let everything sink in and really, look at everything that played out. And at the same time, she's trying to let her friend know that, listen, so, that may well be, and that may have been who he was, but at this point, this is who he is with me. That's my man. I love him. I'm with him. We have what we have. And so now when they're back together and they're by themselves, of course, she is giving him a little bit of attitude and she's being sarcastic. Like, well, damn, how many women have you really been with? Is it 15? Is it 75? What's the roundabout number here? And he was like, really? Well, let me, flip that around. Like, how many guys have you been with? Is it 15? Is it 75? Is it 200? She like, okay, now you being, extra funny or whatever the case may be, right? And they kind of fighting back and forth over the covers. At one point he asked her for lotion and she kind of like smacked that down. They just having like that little lovers quarrel, acting like they are old married couple that's been around for each other for I don't know how long, right? And that part was funny to me, right? And I can, like I said, understand, especially with this being a friend of hers. This is not just her hearing about the things that you did with Karen and other people coming up from the past, which is bad enough, okay? But this is somebody that she considers to be a close friend that she would basically be dealing with and that you would have to deal with. So I could understand her feeling any kind of way about it to a certain degree, right? And I could understand it being very uncomfortable and very weird. And, again, we have them where it's the next morning and she was kind of leaving and Zach is like, you're just going to leave. We're not going to have no kind of conversation. You wasn't going to wake me up. You wake me up any other time, because she was saying, that she didn't want to wake him. And she just basically ends up telling him to be ready for this paternity test that they got to take at 6, right? In the meantime, Bryce reached back out to him again and he lets him know that this is going to be Gretchen that's going to be coming to do this investigation, honey, okay? And she apparently is nothing to play with. She's very hard. So he was like, I pretty much taught you everything that you need to know. Just, keep it real with you, keep it real with her. Say what I told you to say, do what you gotta do, and you should be fine. But he is warning her that, I wish it was kind of somebody else that you got besides her. And so she does reach out to him, because he was saying, have you been getting any calls? And he was like, yeah, well, it was, this number that was calling, that was like a private number, unknown number, something like that. And he was like, more than likely that's her. She's going to be calling to set up an appointment. So she does call him to set up an appointment. An appointment is supposed to be for 12. She's basically being rude to him already, on the phone. And he calls Bryce back and Bryce is just saying, look, answer all the questions, okay? You will be fine. I'm just kind of ready for this whole SEC thing to be over with, to be honest. I hope that they don't drag it out long. The way that this flow is going of the show so far, I don't think they will, but, just saying. So, Fatima does talk to Angela, who basically tells her that Belinda's feeling bad and that maybe she should go ahead and stop by and see her, make some type of time to go down and have a conversation with her, stop by her place. And Fatima does do that. And when she gets there, Fatima's kind of like, okay, now you're sober. Are you ready to talk? Okay, because apparently Belinda had already been drinking previous to getting there and drunk some while she was there. But listen, in my opinion, drunk people speak the truth. So I don't know if it's necessarily, but I could get her, wanting to have a sober conversation. But I'm just saying, just because you wasn't sober doesn't mean that you didn't mean what you say. And Belinda kind of, reiterates that when she's like, listen, I meant what I said. Don't get it twisted or whatever, right? And she says that she just wanted to keep it real with her and she just doesn't want her to get hurt. You know what I'm saying? She's just trying to look out as her best interest and all of that kind of stuff, right? And I'm just trying to look out for you. And I definitely do believe that, right? Like I said, if you've had this experience with this person as a friend and you seeing your friend, with this person, you gonna bring it up. If she didn't bring it up and didn't tell her nothing about it, and she found out about it later on her own, I would kind of be more concerned with that than her keeping it real and telling her about it, right? And so Fatima was just letting her know, like, I'm happy with him, okay? I'm happy with the life we have together, and I just want you to be happy for me, And at that point, Belinda's pretty much like, okay, I just don't want you to get hurt. And she was like, just know that I don't want him now. Now, I thought that was a little weird for her to add that in, and just a little light bulb that went off in the back of my head is this going to be a situation where Belinda will either try to see, like, okay, let me test him and see if he really did change, if he really is this new man that he's claiming to be or whatever, right, to prove a point to Fatima? Or will it be a situation where she actually do still want him, and she just feels like, well, since you changed and since you're not with Karen no more and you supposed to be this new man, like, would she go there and try to see if she could get him for herself? Is she salty that she wasn't the one that was able to get him and have this different him as opposed to her friend Fatima getting with him? Now, I hope they don't go down that line at all, but it is something that crossed my mind, okay? I'm just gonna say it, just gonna put it out there. But she did basically, say that she will apologize, to Zach or whatever, right? And Fatima was saying, well, we may want to hold off on that for a minute, but that was pretty much a good start, right? And then Zach goes and has this meeting with Gretchen, and she's asking him, of course, what he knew about this, how he was able to come across it. She already had knew all about chain breakers, and she knew about the senator, okay? And of course, I feel like that came from Hayden, because previous to this, we didn't know no ties, right? Even when we was hearing about this investigation, even when him and Gary was going hard, they could never find any type of links. We know that in Sisters, that Hayden did come across the tape and was like, bingo, that's how he did it, blah, 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 right? So we know that that part has to come from him. Even when the senator was making her threats, like I said, once Fatima went and spoke to her, it pretty much was like, okay, that's gonna be the end of that. So we don't know all of exactly what information they have, but she pretty much was like, come on now, you're gonna have to spill the tea and be real with me, because I know about this and this wife, I know about chain breakers and all this other stuff, right? And how did she... And we know that the senator's wife was basically getting inside intel. So that kind of messes Zach up. Now, he was starting off to a good start where he was saying all the right things, and I guess pretty much practicing, what he had been already practicing and saying between Jake and now Bryce, right? And he's talked about how he studied when he was locked up, and once he came out of jail and got with chain breakers and he was given a chance, and, him, basically starting his own thing and all of that kind of stuff, and working at the airport, and he just so happened to go ahead and put money on this stock. Then he had thought about taking his money off the stock. At one point it went down, and then the next minute it went back up. But then when she came with that part, as far as bringing up the senator and everything else, he kind of just looked stuck, right? His mouth kind of hit the ding floor, this little something, right? He didn't look like he really know what to say. And at that point, she started talking about, maybe they should go ahead and bring the FBI in on this. And I said, listen, y'all need to leave Zach alone, okay? Y'all done arrested Zach I don't know how many times. Y'all got these chicks coming left and right. You even had the damn senator trying to blackmail him and sleep with him. Like, please leave this man alone, right? So that was basically how the episode ended. And again, I'm just curious, one, to just see how this show is going to play out within itself, and two, to see if they are going to be able to incorporate and make things make sense when it's time for Sisters to continue and come back. That's the two biggest things, that I want to know. But you guys tell me what y'all thinking about this so far. What did y'all think about these first two episodes? How are you liking it? Do you think that he is going to be able to make it make sense between this one, and Sisters? And listen, I wouldn't mind if they, could do Sisters a little something similar to this, where we don't have to have lines repeated over and over, and we can move the story on along. It really does make such a difference to me. That would be my only critiques and whatever. But that's pretty much my thoughts on that, y'all. Y'all put it in the comments. Let's discuss. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you are so inclined, okay, give me a wave. Let me know you came by. Put some flames up in the sky. All right, y'all. Till next time. Tulu.